Go Slowly Joe, a podcast of talks between mind and soul, while rambling between personal and real experiences, and also some hypothetical, bringing always a deep meaning about everything with inner connection, truth, and mindfulness. Welcome. Hello, welcome to the episode number 44 of the Go Slowly Joe podcast. Happy 2024. This is the first one of this year. Yeah, I hope that your 2023 was a good year for you. I've shared a lot of times already that this past year was very interesting and also very hard for me. But I don't tend to associate this so much with the energy of the year per se, even though I believe that it's also related to that. But I do associate it even more with my own personal year, with my own cycle. And of course, with the things that we are always learning, right? But if you are one of these people who really likes to look at the beginning of the year, and write some objectives for the rest of the year, or even just to look back at the previous year, I hope that you've had already time and the opportunity to look at these past 12 months and just see how much you've evolved, how much you've done for yourself, for your system, for your own process. And if you haven't done it this yet, don't worry, you're still on time. And to me, to be honest, I know that even though I associate a lot the years with my own cycle, when it's my own birthday and all, I know that still the beginning of the year brings us some sort of um, again, a re-entry energy, as we also have it in September. So for me, it was sort of a moment, and it's usually a moment for me to just realize some things that I still want to implement, some things that I want to change, some routines that maybe I'm willing to change and that I need to just revise and see if they still make sense to me and in my life yet. So yes, this beginning of the year and the end of one year for me, it's much more about this than writing many things, because I feel like I've done this already on my birthday. But even though I don't really like not to look at the year that just passed. So I believe that this is a great opportunity to just realize how much we've grown, how much we've done, and yes, who we are right now and who we were 1 year ago. And how these past few months have been. Because we are still part of a society, and even though our own birthdays is probably that time where we feel that our energy is renewed and we start feeling that we are evolving even more, and the energy kind of changes right after our birthday, I still feel that being a part of a society, and considering this is in our own countries, this is the New Year's for us. I believe that and for most of the world, I believe that it's, of course, a good opportunity for us to just look at life and look at our own life. It's just maybe another opportunity for it, and maybe a shiny opportunity for it as well, because in our cultures, it's associated with partying, and it's associating with revising things and with new goals and all this. So it's all welcomed. And I believe that it's all part of we are all part of this. And it doesn't matter if we do it right now, if we've done it already on our birthdays, or if we are doing it on our birthdays. It doesn't matter if the astrological year only starts in March. What matters is that everything matters. And what matters the most is that if it makes sense to you, if you see this as an opportunity for you to just restart and for you to revise some things in your own life, I believe that this is the most important part. So if you've done this, if you are doing this, if you felt like doing this, I hope that you are feeling well. And yes, again, welcome 2024. Yes, and I feel there is a different energy in the air, but I'm bringing you today a topic that, oh my God, I was supposed to record these 2 days ago, and my voice even started feeling a little bit weird. And I was like, no, 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 I cannot record this right now. So I had to have these two other days to just kind of reconnect with this message and make sure that this is what I wanted to bring to you. And it's a topic that it's very much related to. Um, One of the episodes I brought you at the end of last year, I believe that it's the one from November, where I told you about my identity crisis. And I told you, and I brought you a lot of suggestions and advices from my side if you're going through an identity crisis. And while just a little, just picking up a few things that I want to connect with this last episode is that on that episode of the identity crisis, I told you that I went through this identity crisis through my job, where I felt like I was deeply connected, even more, in even deeper, yes, in a deep way connected to what I do here, to my purpose, if you can call it this way, in terms of my job. I was loving even more, and I'm so in love with what I do even more and more. But I approached this moment where I felt like, you know what? I love this so much that I don't know who I am apart from this. I don't know who I am. I don't know who I would be if this wouldn't go well. And this helped me going through this help, or it guided me into going through this identity crisis, sort of, that it was painful, that it was hard for me, but it was very useful, to be honest. And right now that it's already gone, sort of, or most of it, even though it's always in the back of my mind right now, because I'm so much more respectful right now for these sort of periods, because I went through one, of course. I feel like now I can tell you that it's very useful. Please don't feel like, uh, even though this is the way that I see life, that challenges are very useful for us, and they have a goal in our lives, a main goal, and a bigger goal that sometimes we cannot see in the moment. Please don't interpret this way of me telling you that, oh yes, it's been so useful. Please don't interpret this in a way of like, you know what, I'm going through hell, but this is going to be useful. No, we still have to go through the emotions of not feeling like that this is useful. We still have to go through the emotions of, you know what, this can be useful, but right now I still cannot feel it, and it's still rubbish for me, and it's still hard for me. It's okay. We Part of finding these processes useful is actually going through the hard emotions that these hard processes bring into our lives. So please be aware of this. So when myself and maybe even other people come into these videos and say, you know what, these hard times were so useful for me, it is true, but there is like a space, a time difference, and there is in between this time difference, between the moment where things were going on and between right now where things are more processed and they are still there as a sort of a statue of like, you know what, I went through this and I know more about myself right now. That there is in between this timing, there is a process, and there are many hard emotions. There are things, relationships, thoughts, beliefs, yes, habits that they don't make sense anymore, and it was probably hard to go through it, and it was probably hard to actually realize this. So please, when you listen to this is my message for you. Don't feel like, oh, I have to make everything useful. No, before realizing that things can be useful, you can have that positivity inside of your mind already, in terms of like, you know what, I know this is hard, but I know that within some time, which sometimes can last for years, we don't know, after some time I will find this useful. But right now, and I know, or this thought that I can find this useful in the future might be useful right now, but please don't use it to avoid your own emotions and to avoid the fact that right now this is feeling like crap for you, which is okay. it's part of the process. And we are not always, if you are always super at peace with everything, you're not doing your job. This is something that I want to tell you. And we so hardly avoid these hard emotions and looking at ourselves in a very truthful way that sometimes what we will realize in some time from now, if you're going through that sort of everything is perfect and I have everything under control, probably your life is going to take you the rug under your feet, which is fine. It's just part of it. But I'm not bringing you this perspective as a destructive sort of mindset where you always have to be thinking that something has to be wrong for you to be okay. No, I grew up thinking that, and my positivity, or coming back to my positiveness that I have inside of me, also led me to this consciousness of like, no, for me to be okay right now, it doesn't mean that something catastrophic has to happen. However, um, while going through a process, please don't feel and don't think that you have to make everything feel useful right now in this moment. Sometimes it just isn't. Sometimes it's just rubbish. And sometimes what we have to do is just to assume that and just realize how much or how painful this is for us. And maybe while admitting this and while assuming this for yourself in the first place, it might be already itself the process. So this is not even the message that I want to bring you, but I just felt like bringing you this because sometimes when we are talking about things in our own processes, I feel like there is this lack of reality sometimes. There is this inspiration that goes through, and it's amazing. And for example, I try to be on social media as much as possible and as positively as I can, because I believe that in the end there is a positiveness in every single process and in every single thing that you go through, and the way how you explain it on social media, it's amazing that it can be positive. It can be positive because in the end it's going to inspire you to go through the hard processes in a more positive way or with a positive outcome, and with some hope. However, it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt anyways. And this is the reality I want to bring you. And sometimes this can seem or maybe even sound a little bit too realistic and hard for some people who are just looking for positive answers to assume and to admit, but it's the reality. So yes, going back to that episode, to the identity crisis about the job, um, I'm thinking, what should I bring you first? Okay, let me tell you. Through this identity crisis, I understood many things about myself and about the things around me. However, and especially the things that I don't want. However, there was one thing, and this is what I want to bring you here. There was one thing that really caught me out of guard, and it was so extremely important for me, which is there are things that you don't do for yourself, and life will show you that by asking you to do things for other people, these things for other people. And you tell me what? So let me repeat. There are things that you cannot do for yourself, or there are things that you don't do for yourself, and life will show you these things through asking you to do these things for other people. Okay, and now I will explain after this repetition. So, through this identity crisis, like I told you, since it was a lot through my job and through my purpose and through feeling that can I do this, or am I something else apart from doing this and from loving this job so much? What I did was that I sent a few curriculums here in Abu Dhabi because I thought, you know what? If I'm going through this, it means that maybe I still have to learn something outside. outside from this. So I was committed to, okay, let me find something that I can do. I could still provide therapies, and I would just have a normal job on the side in order for me to just realize who I was in the end. And of course, that behind this, there was some sort of need, of course, in many ways. But what I realized from this process is, first of all, it put me in a very humble position of like, you know what? This is what I want to do forever. And I know this, and it might change the way how I do it, but this is what I do forever, how I want to do forever. However, I'm I had to become very humble to just assume that, you know what, maybe it just isn't, or maybe I have to put my own um, health in the first place. Or what does this mean to me? The fact that I want to do this forever, what do I have to um, yes, what do I have to change here for this to be the things that I want to be doing forever? How much do I have to change for me to do this forever? And apart from putting me in this humble position, it really made me realize that, and I'm telling you this after some time, but it made me realize that I was not doing what I needed to do. And I was tired of some things, and I had to change things. I had to change logistical contexts in my work. I had to automatize some things in order for it to be a little bit lighter for me. I had to filter some social media things, pages, time that I was spending on social media. So many things. I had to change many things. I had to look at things differently. I had to start seeing this not only as my spiritual path and my so much heart that I was putting into things, but also as this is my job, and I have to look at it as my job. Um, and what I realized was that, you know what? I am not doing what I need to do. I'm not looking at this as a proper job. I'm looking at this with all my seriousness. I'm taking this very deeply into my heart. I'm doing this with all my heart, but I still need, for my own sake, I still need to look at this as a proper job, because otherwise, I will just go with it with my whole identity, and then I will be nothing apart from this. And I have to look at this as, of course, it's hard to tell you this because this job and what I do is so related to my own life. Every place I go, I see family constellations. Every place I go, I see past lives. My own life is a process itself. However, I cannot not lose myself in this, right? And this is why I decided that, you know what, if there is still something that I need to learn, let me go and let me find something else for me to see what is out there. What am I in the world? What am I working for other people apart from myself? And of course for my clients, but through myself to my clients. So who am I? And what I've realized here, and this is the message that I want to bring you, is that I was really not doing what I needed to do. And of course I went through process of my own. I understood why. I healed parts of me that needed to be seen, that needed to be considered. However, I was not really doing what I needed to do. So in these interviews, and even it was not only interviews, it was also, I was also volunteering for a cat shelter, a welfare place. Very nice. I will really want to go back there. But you know what? Once I realized, I went there and the shelter was closed because they were doing some sort of renovations in the place. And instead of playing with the cats, what I was doing was that I was sitting down at a table, and the lady from that place asked me to do a post for their Instagram to share something. that they were going to do like a sort of an adoption weekend or something. And I was happy to do it. But I realized, you know what? I'm sitting here um, in front of this laptop, which is not even mine, and I'm doing something that I don't want to do for myself. Because you know what, in at this point I was so tired and I was so exhaustive of trying and trying and trying and putting so much work into doing even posts and all this, that I was like, you know what, I really want to hire someone to do this for me. um and I don't want to do this anymore. So I was kind of avoiding it. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to be a therapist. I just want to be, and I just want to do what I want to do as a therapist. I don't want to be doing posts and all this. So I was really like sort of rejecting all this that leads me always somewhere, that leads me to people who see the things that I think and the things that I'm writing. And this is, to be honest, one of the biggest ways for me to approach people and to let people know what I think and my perspective and my job. And I was really rejecting it. And that moment when I sat there and I was asked to do something that it was not even my purpose there, because I was volunteering and my main goal was to play with the cats, and it was to do Reiki to cats. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this, but once I go home, I will be doing this for myself too. Um, Also, in another interview that I had, I was told, you know what, some people think, or sometimes people think that, or nowadays people think that we can only do things that we love. But no, sometimes we have to do things that we don't like. And I was like, you know what? This is totally right. Even though I feel like it's not the best approach when you're trying to hire someone. I don't think it's the best approach to say that. But I was so grateful that I was told that, because I was like, you know what? This is exactly what I needed to hear. Because I've told you many times, I think, along this podcast and along the episodes, that so far I'm doing everything by myself. And I've been automatizing many things, and I have many systems that already help me. But so far, I'm doing everything by myself. And of course, that it is my goal one day to hire people to do things that I'm not so good at. For example, I am a therapist. I don't feel like I'm a designer, even though I love and I'm very creative and I love doing my own posts. But that's not the main goal. I don't do it to be beautiful. I want it to be nice and to be beautiful and to represent me and my job, but I don't want it to be beautiful. What I want is for the message to pass, right? And of course, when you are not an expert in something, what happens is that you sometimes you lose a lot of time and you spend a lot of time in little details that if you were an expert on something, you wouldn't lose so many so many minutes deciding on a type of letter, like a font, for example, right? And what I realized was that, you know what, I really want to do this, but right now I'm investing most of my money, to be honest, in doing courses, in becoming a better therapist, in buying books, in buying Legos for the family constellation sessions. I'm investing a lot of money in my own education. So by investing this money in my own education, I'm not going to be able to invest, and I'm not willing to invest in hiring someone to do something that I can still do by myself. And this is what I've realized. It's like, you know what? I'm not doing what I need to do for my own purpose and for the things that I love. So, in these interviews and in this volunteering job that I was having, um, what I realized was that, you know what, these places are telling me what I'm still not doing for myself. And I don't know if you, when you listen to me, if you are someone who's, I don't know if you are someone else's employee, or if you have a business like myself, if you're a freelancer, but please take this in this way. sometimes when we are working for other people, or when we are delivering our own skills to other companies, many times what we are doing is that we don't know how to gather these skills that we have and put it out there and work with them. And it's fine, because this is a process as well, right? I don't work by myself in the same way nowadays in January of 2024 as I used to work when I started in 2020. It's different. It's just a different way. And you also learn how to work by yourself. You learn which are your best skills or not. So what I'm trying to say here is that many times we are just working for other people because we still don't know how to gather our own skills and put them into work by ourselves. But this is not a judgment, okay? Not everyone has to have a business. Not everyone has to be a freelancer. It's just a realization that I had. And from these processes, what I've realized indeed was that, wow, this is really, I'm so lucky, because this is really telling me what I'm not doing for myself. And this is why in these interactions, I'm always being asked to do things that I don't love so much. And you know what? When I went to this volunteering job, for example, like I told you, my aim was to be with the cats. It was to be with loving uh, beings as the cats are. It was to provide them Reiki for free. So I was really trying to use my own skills of loving these animals and applying Reiki to the cats. And then in the end, after 3 or 4 times that I went there, what I was asked to do, it was actually um, to to do something that I was not able to do here for my own purpose. So this was so extremely important for me. And even that interview I had, when they told me, you know what, people have to do things that they don't like. And I was like, you know what, this might not be the best way to hire someone. Um, but it's actually very interesting, because it's exactly the message that I needed to bring with me for my own purpose and for my own job and for my own business. And just a disclaimer, if you are a freelancer and if you're listening to this, please, I thought about a lot about this before bringing this message to you, because I was like, you know what? How people are going to see me as a therapist if I'm going to go to the podcast and I'm going to say that I went to a job interview? You know what? I hope you see me as a person, because I am a person. And I hope you see me even as a better therapist, because I feel like I'm a better therapist after going through this process. And if you are a freelancer and sometimes you wonder, what will people think if I have a part-time job or not? Who cares? It's okay. We are here to learn, and we are here to, you know what, if right now you need to go out there, it's not only about the money. It's not only about the fact that maybe you have less job in your freelancing job or not right now. It's the fact that we are a society, and sometimes we need each other. And sometimes it's okay to just go out there and look for what you're looking for what you're missing, for what you're lacking here. And this is what I felt I was really lacking. It was not only this that I was lacking, it was some sort of a community as well, and all these. And I've realized also that I still have to keep on working a bit on that. But um, my main goal today here is to bring you the fact that it's okay if you do many things at the same time. It's okay. We are complete beings. We can do so many things. We can have many interests. We can love being by ourselves 3 days a week, and then 2 other days a week we can love being, I don't know, working in a coffee shop, serving coffee to people who are nice, who are there to enjoy themselves. What's the problem? There is no problem with it. And I want to do this disclaimer because I feel like nowadays, and today I'm in a very realistic mode, clearly, because in the beginning I also brought you a realistic side of me. But um, I feel like we are in the context where only if you are a freelancer, or you have your own business, this is the only way that you can thrive in life. And even though I believe that again, that sentence I told you last year, you are not you are not your uh, you're not only your job, but you are being asked to do something with what you are. It's true, but you can be good at sewing and you can have a side business in sewing things, for example, which is totally fine. uh Please don't interpret lives that are shown on Instagram and all this as the perfect conditions, because that doesn't exist. Everyone goes through their own processes. Everyone goes through times where they have more work, where they have less. It's totally fine. And by going through this identity crisis, like I told you in November, wow, this was extremely important, like I told you already. And I realized I was not doing what I needed to do. And like I told you, there were some processes that were leading me there and that were trying to show me something. And this is what I went healing. But I still had to open up myself to the possibility, you know what, my life might change. And it's okay. I'm willing to change it if it's needed. But am I doing what I need to do? Maybe I was not doing what I needed to do. And today I'm telling you this with a huge amount of adulthood inside of me. And now you ask me, okay, Joanna, but why sometimes we don't do for ourselves what we do for others? Okay, first of all, I believe it's because we were not raised to do that. Like I told you also in another episode last year, we believe that taking care of ourselves or putting our own goals in the first place means that we are selfish. However, like I told you, I don't believe that we have to be selfish to love ourselves. I don't believe that we have to be selfish to actually thrive in our own jobs, in our own beliefs, in what we believe that it's a good thing. Uh, Yes, first of all, it's this. We are not used to putting ourselves in the first place. We are not used to saying, no, I'm sorry, mother, I'm sorry, friend, I'm sorry, whoever seems so important. But right now I cannot do it because this is important for me. We are not used to do that. So maybe it's a time to learn how to do it. And if you cannot, please just bring this into therapy. Please just bring into family constellations. Please just bring this into any session that you go through, because it means something. It comes from somewhere. It comes from our ancestors, from even like, especially in a yeah, no, not even especially in the feminine side, because in the masculine side too, we were not educated to say no. This is now important for me, and I have to do this because it's important for me right now. We are not used to do that. And second of all, and this is where I go here into my notebook, because I've written this because I really don't want to forget this. We don't do things for ourselves because sometimes we are afraid to fail. And sometimes we are also afraid to be good. You tell me what? You know what? And I've been through so much with this sentence. This sentence, it just, it had some bells inside of my head, like, but what does this mean? Am I afraid to be good? Okay, afraid to fail, I can actually understand. But am I afraid to be good? I don't understand this. And yes, we are. So, first of all, I'm afraid to fail. Yes. If I would put all my time and work into the posts that I didn't want to do for myself, I was like, I could fail because I could put all my time and I could still post like 10 or 20 posts. The ones that I told you that I was not enjoying so much doing, like the design part of it. And I could post them and I could realize, you know what, this is not even that nice. People are not even interacting with it. It's not even that um, changing. It's not even that new. So I put all my work into this and it didn't lead anywhere. So I can realize that I failed. Okay, so how about that I don't do things for myself because I'm afraid to be good? Yes, because then imagine that thing that you are afraid or that you are kind of avoiding to do for yourself, and you're kind of bringing excuses into your life of like, you know what? I don't want to do it. I'm not good at it. I should hire someone to do that and all these. But sometimes we are still not in that stage, right? So, but imagine that that thing that you don't want to put your time and energy into, imagine that it goes well. Imagine that you do it and it actually goes well and it's actually successful. What does that mean? Maybe your life is going to change because of that. Maybe your habits, your routine, your home routine, your relationships routine is going to change. Maybe you will be more successful than your family system. And this is where you tell me what? Yes, imagine, let me just give you this example. Imagine that your family has always been very discreet. I'm not even going through the example of money because I feel like this example I'm going to give you, sometimes it's even more hard to see. It's even harder to see. Imagine that your family has always been super discreet. So people that didn't want to show themselves very much, didn't want to people to know about their lives and all this. And then suddenly you create posts and you have this, I don't know, range of people, random range of people that come into your life and that they get to know you. They want to know more and more and more. So it doesn't mean that this is just a different type of success of your own family system. However, you might not want to be more recognized than them. Because if we couldn't be recognized at a certain level, you don't want to, if you move any further from that, you will be feeling that you are not part of your family system. And this is what we can sometimes call of loyalty. It means that, you know what, if I'm, imagine that you, okay, now I'm going through the example of finances, for example. Imagine that you come from a very humble family and they have this certain car or they have these certain possibilities, and your routine and your traditions have always been um, surrounded by these or they have always been inspired in the fact that you could only have that certain type of food, but it was good, and maybe you sat around the little table, but it was good anyway. So all your traditions were around this. Imagine this. And then one day you start doing a lot of money with your own job. And maybe you can provide different experiences to your family. Maybe you can raise your kids without those traditions, for example, or with different ones. Um, Sometimes what our subconsciousness tells us is that, you know what, if you do that, you will stop belonging there. You will not follow along with their traditions. You will not follow along with their experiences. You will not share this with your kids. So you will not belong there anymore. And sometimes we are afraid to be good. Sometimes we are afraid to be successful, not because we feel that we will be superior to our families, but because we will understand that, and we understand that we are different. And there is this amazing example in one of family constellations books I read, which was one day that this daughter asked her mother, you know, mother, why do you always roast the chicken cut into pieces? Why don't we roast the chicken whole in the oven? And the mother said, you know what, I don't know, but your grandmother always did it this way. And one day, this mother went ask her mother, so the grandmother of this kid, you know what? Why do we always separate and cut the chicken into pieces before roasting it? And the grandmother says, you know what? We've always done this because in my family, so from your grandmother in this case, so the great grandmother of the little kid, we were so poor that we only had a little Tupperware to put it in the oven. So a little, yes, container. So we had to separate the chicken. Um, and this is the reason why we always separate the chicken into parts. And you know what what this can bring us is the fact that, oh, so will you keep the tradition? Because maybe back then your family couldn't afford a bigger container and you had to separate the chicken? Or will you actually just understand that right now you can have a bigger container and it's fine to have the whole chicken roasted in your oven? This example could be applied to many different things in family constellations, but I feel like this is one of them. Sometimes we really just keep on having traditions and having mindsets and having beliefs about ourselves and not allowing ourselves to just move forward into things and into the things that we really have to do for us to be successful, because we don't want to be different from our family system. And when we are different, sometimes we fear that we won't belong. And probably you already know this, but from our tribes as nomads, we used to believe that if I'm different, I will not survive because I will not follow along with the nomads. So I will be, if I don't belong, I'll be by myself and I will die, because they all depended on each other to collect things and to kill animals to eat and to survive rough weathers and to walk and all this. So sometimes we don't do what we need to do for ourselves, because first of all, we are not used to think that if I'm doing things for myself, it's good. But of course it is, right? Because our relationships will always benefit from the fact that we do things for ourselves selfishly, and not selfishly in a bad way, but in a loving kind of way of ourselves. Okay, second of all, it's because we are afraid of failing. Because if I put a lot of work into that and it still is not good, I have to deal with failing and with the fear of failing and with the feelings of failing. And that's very uncomfortable, right? And it kind of weakens us. But sometimes it can also make us feel strong, right? Because when we fail, we are like, you know what? At least I tried. At least I learned something. And this is the beauty of our inner processes, like I told you in the beginning. Might feel like we are failing somehow, but we are still learning something. And this is what we have to start appreciating about hard processes and about hard emotions and about those negative emotions, like we usually call them. Okay. And apart from it, the third reason is that we don't do for ourselves what sometimes then we are invited to do for others, because we are afraid to succeed. And when we succeed, what's going to change in our lives? How different will we be from our family system? How different will we be from those traditions that in some way put us together and gathered us as a family? How different will I be? Will I still belong? And let me tell you, you will still belong. You might not fit in anymore, but you will still belong. However, this feeling of not fitting in is something that you might need to check. And I even advise you to look into and to listen to that episode where I talk about why do I still don't belong. I believe it's the episode number 11 or 10, where I talk about exclusion. But this is a sentence that I'm always listening and I'm always reproducing, that belonging does mean that you have to fit in. Fitting in, it's very hard. It means that you really have to shut down yourself many times. And it means that you really have to change a lot yourself just because you want to be part of something. However, as you know, in family constellations, we say and we believe that by the orders of love, one of them is that we all belong, right? We all belong, even if we didn't act in a way that our family system is proud of or that recognizes us in. We still belong. Everyone belongs, even the ones that didn't act in a good way. But that doesn't mean that we have to make an effort to fit in. And for example, in my case, I feel like I was also kind of avoiding this feeling of, wow, what if this is succeeded? And then I don't belong anymore, or I don't fit in anymore. However, am I fitting in anyways right now? Maybe in some contexts I'm not anymore. So why do I keep stopping myself from doing this? And don't forget, because this is part of the sentence, life will ask you to do for others what you cannot do for yourself. Why? Because life is always showing us our relationship with ourselves. So what you are lacking in yourself, for yourself, what you're not providing yourself, is going to show in your relationships through the things that people ask for you, the things that people request from you, the things that people demand from you, what the world is demanding from you. Imagine you're not, yes, you're not capable of cooking a healthy meal for yourself, imagine. But maybe you do everything so well for everyone else, or maybe everyone around you is getting sick and that those people are asking you to actually cook well for them, for example. It's just an example for you to understand that life is always delivering us what we still need to see in the relationship with ourselves. um, yes, and I believe that in the future I will go more into realistic terms. What is this? Uh, what is it? This about being a freelancer, having your own business? Because I feel like I told you, I feel like this is all very. It looks all very um, lights and sunrises and sunsets, which is also uh, as well, but it's not only that. Um, and I feel like this is something that many people probably are needing to listen to, and many people have been even asking me about this because I've seen so many people in these last months changing their careers and even putting their businesses on the side. And yes, it's important that we all revise this. We are all being invited to it. I'd love to listen to your thoughts about this. I feel like this is an important topic, and it's the world we live in right now, and we are being invited to revise what we are, who we are, what we can do with what we are, and all this. So don't forget, what am I going to do today for myself? What is your life asking you to do for others that you are still not doing for yourself? How much are you loving others? How much are you loving everyone else? How much are you prioritizing everyone else around you apart from you? And this self-love journey, I believe it's for our whole life. I believe that right now through social media, it can be something that is seen as something very idealistical, but it's very important. It keeps me being very, very, very important. Yes, and this is the thoughts I want to leave you today. And I feel like I've taught so much today. So I hope that you followed along. Probably it's an episode that you might need to listen to quite a few times to maybe integrate this inside of you. Like I told you, it's been many months of this process. I've had a lot of time to think about this. I've had a lot of time to process it. So please take your time as well. If you have any questions, please let me know. And once again, and because we are starting a new year, 2024, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate every single one of you. And yes, I'll see you soon. And have a lovely month of January. And just to let you know as well that at the end of the year, I've launched my very first online shop. It has some products, online products, that they are limited, so they will not be um, yes, available forever. But these are products that I've created beforehand for a few groups I've had before. And I will be updating these products as well in the future. And I'll be launching even more. But it's just something that I'm so proud of. And I'm happy that you're also part of it. So this might be your invitation for you to check it out again. And if you have any questions about it as well, please let me know. And yes, like I was saying, have a lovely month. I will see you soon. And again, I would love to listen to your testimonials about this episode. Thank you. Have a lovely day.